We're going to take a look at compound paths and how you can create them in Illustrator and use them to your advantage. Things like cheese graters. I'm going to share my screen. I'll show you what I'm talking about. We're back in our friend Illustrator, and we're looking at the new fragrance from Flatulence. So if I said I want to put a gradient on this piece of type, I could first of all open up my gradient and say I want to get into this, and it says, well, you can't attach that to a piece of type because it's not a path. So the first thing I have to do is go to my type and say convert this, create outlines right there, Shift Command O, to type. And then I could say make that, whoops, not the stroke, see it's got the stroke or the fill. I want the fill to be a gradient. And it says I can do that, but what you've got is a gradient inside each individual letter. I don't want that. What I want is the whole thing to be treated as one object, that the gradient goes from the beginning all the way to the end. So if I go to object, I've just selected all of those letter forms. Let's make this a little more interesting, shall we? I can double click the color and say that's going to go from that brown to this brown. Ooh, yeah, it's going to be lovely. So now what I'm going to do is say I've got that shape, but they're all individual shapes. I want them all to be treated as one shape. Compound path, make, and then go back and say that's the gradient that I want to use, and there you are. So the whole thing, the whole piece of type gets treated as one object, and it gets that gradient filled through the whole thing. I'm calling it type, but I shouldn't. It's not type anymore. I can't fix any of these. If I misspelled this word, I can't fix it now because now it's paths and it's got a fill attached to it. But making it a paths and giving it a fill means I can do this gradient trick, making a compound path out of it. If I said I want to make a shape through which I can see holes, if I said I want to make, like a cheese grater, I'm going to make something like that, and then clone that and make a bunch more of those, doop, 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 and then grab those guys and deselect that and drag those down and doop, doop. Okay, so what I'm going to do is make this whole thing a compound path. Object, compound path, make. And now what I've got is a cheese grater, basically. I can see through that to see a screen. I made a screen out of that I can see through, that I can use that window. If you find yourself sometime thinking, I want to show a few things in behind this, that's the way you do that using compound path. Hopefully that answers any questions you might have had about how cool compound paths are, and I'll see you for the next video.